We've got Deborah in Marysville. How are you?
Hi, how are you guys doing?
Good. Good, Deborah.
Okay. I called because I've been enjoying your videos for the last week or so, and I'm a 56-year-old woman who became an atheist about a year and a half ago.
Oh, my.
And I just called up because I wanted to share my unborn-again experiences with you.
Please do.
I was a Christian. Well, the problem with being a Christian is once you leave the church, you're told that you never were a Christian. As far as I know, I was a Christian. I wasn't a very good Christian, but I believe that I, had some kind of a relationship with Christ, whatever that was. It wasn't much of a relationship, but I think there was something there, But now I think it's just my mind. But I remember the day that I became an atheist was April 19th, 2009. And I remember that day because it's my daughter's birthday, and I woke up. And this is after doing a lot of study on atheism and in Christianity, and I woke up one morning and I said, I don't believe in God anymore. It was just so natural not to believe in God. That was my first day of atheism, and it blew my mind that I was so nonchalant about it. After having been a believer for so long, and one of the things I became a universalist believer before I became atheist, and I used to study. I used to have horrible bouts of depression, suicide and suicidal thoughts and depression. And finally, when I gave up hellfire, I still was a Christian, but once I gave up hellfire, I no longer had depression. Now, I know people should go to the doctor when they think that when they're depressed, but I didn't. I just muddled through. Somehow I, managed to keep my mind, Yeah. And I think it was probably because all this turmoil was going on inside of me, listening to what preachers say and knowing that it's not jiving with what I can see in real life, and trying to make it work, and it just never did. And so for about 5 or 6 years now, I haven't had any depression. So I think it had to do with the hellfire and all that. But anyway, I just want to thank you guys for being there. And it was actually Bart Ehrman's book that convinced me that Christianity was bogus. Yep. So, I really recommend his books and tapes and anything because he was a Christian too, and he gave up Christ after, and I went back and read the Bible again, and I thought, my gosh, there's so much that doesn't mesh here, so many contradictory things and
stuff you'd read before and didn't recall it.
Well, because he says because you're reading it one book at a time. When you put the books all together and you look at it, maybe part of me thought some of this stuff doesn't make sense, but once I looked at it all at once, we said, well, how many women were at the tomb, and what day was Jesus crucified, and rose from the dead, and what about all these zombies that came out of the grave, and nobody seems to have said, if you saw 500 people coming out of a grave, wouldn't there'd be a big newspaper report? Nobody reports on this stuff. A man rising from the dead, and there's nothing. So, sorry. Go ahead.
That's all right. I was just going to say we really appreciate you calling in to share that. It's always good to hear from other people who have managed to free themselves from religion as well. And I agree with you on Bart Ehrman. I recommend his books quite often. So I'm actually, it's nice to hear. I mean, I don't know, how it affected the rest of your life, but this idea that you have been depression-free and that it was a, morning realization that was rather nonchalant, I think is important because I can't identify the day that I first identified as an atheist, but I do remember the period of time, and it was incredibly liberating, and I do agree that this hellfire and damnation stuff is not just a tool to keep people believing, but it's a particularly vile one because I think it promotes, it damages individuals' mental health and encourages things like depression.
Yeah, I agree totally because that's what happened to me, and I really believe it hellfire all those years, even though I didn't identify it as hellfire. You know, that I was afraid. Because there was another thing about religion is the fear. You know, you can't live up to it. Nobody can do it. You know, I used to have fear because, gee, I'm not tithing. You know, or I sinned again. There I go cussing again. You know, now I think this is just normal stuff. You know. We do things that are wrong, and now I laugh at a lot of the things I do. Okay, so I can't stop cussing now. You know, I mean, I'm not even going to try anymore. You know, I can stop cussing when I'm in a, you know, with a group of people, and you know, they kind of religious. I still have religious people in my family.
Yeah, it's one of the things of religion where many of them have gone to extreme lengths to make the normal, everyday actions of humans something that you should feel guilty for, whether it be sex or language or anything like that. And I find it so absolutely vile and hateful that it's one of the reasons that we do what we do.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, so thank you very much.
Thanks for calling, Deborah. Appreciate it.
Okay. Bye.
We've got